Hey everyone, happy Friday. Today is our last episode of the Morning Mindset series, and I'm so pumped for the conversation that we have with Bob Taylor of Taylor Guitars. He turned his passion for guitars at 12 years old into a thriving 1,100 employee business that produces 700 of the world's best handcrafted guitars every day. Join us as he talks with us about his strategy of hard work, dedication, and unwavering focus. Welcome to the Morning Mindset. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we have Bob Taylor with us. Bob, how are you?
I'm doing good, Levi, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome, Bob. I really am. I'm excited to be talking to you, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking time to be on my mini podcast series.
Right on.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do it.
Awesome. So, Bob, I like to kind of start out and just ask the question. Tell me something good. It can be anything. I just want to hear something good from Bob Taylor.
Well, one of the best things is in about when I hang up from this, I got the girls coming over with their kids and their husbands, and we're going to make smash burgers.
That is so
outside
awesome.
Because it finally got warm. So I'm thinking about cheese, and I'm thinking about burgers.
Oh, I love it.
Thinking about some pure sloppiness.
Yeah.
So I think that's good in these times, don't you?
Oh, I think that's amazing. Anything, man. Smash burgers, cheese. You got me thinking of dinner already. I think I'm on the same page with you. That's awesome. Oh, that's fun. You get to spend time with family and the kids and grandkids. That's really cool. That's awesome, Bob.
It's great.
Yeah. So Bob, tell me. I like to start out with tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the who is Bob Taylor, if you will.
Well, I'm a guitar maker.
Yep.
That's how I define myself the most. I started when I was young, and I've done it ever since. And it's kind of how it's my ticket into everything I do in life almost. It's the key that unlocks the doors to all the things that I'm interested in.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. And so, Bob, dive a little deeper if you would. So you're a guitar maker. You've done it from a young age. What, if you would, give me the Reader's Digest version of Taylor Guitars.
Well, I was 12 years old. I got a guitar for my birthday, an electric guitar that my mom and dad bought from a little department store. Loved it. Wanted to get an acoustic guitar. Was listening to John Denver and Gordon Lightfoot and Peter, Paul, and Mary back in the early 70s. Couldn't afford to buy one. Finally, I found one for $36, and my sister, who was working as a waitress, loaned me the money.
Wow.
Bought that guitar. I paid her back. Then I looked at another guitar that was more expensive. Through all that time, I was in industrial arts classes in junior high and high school, which I was actually freakishly good at.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I can't afford to buy a guitar. I think I'll make a guitar. So I made my first guitar in high school wood shop. Kind of worked on my own alone after school and kind of off in the corner during class time. And then when my senior year came around, I made a banjo and two more guitars, and that's all I've ever done since then.
Wow.
Got a job at a little hippie guitar shop in Lemon Grove, California. A year later, the guy wanted to sell the hippie guitar shop.
Yeah.
I partnered up with two guys that were there who I didn't really know. We each threw in $3,000. We bought it from him. Struggled. 8 years later, me and Kurt, two of us bought out the third guy, went on our own, had developed some models by then. We're 8 years into it. We started selling to some music stores in Los Angeles and San Diego.
Wow.
And we just came in every day, put our heads down, and worked at it. And eventually we arrived over a period of years, 45 years, to where we are now with 1,100 employees. And up until 3 weeks ago, we were making 750 guitars a day.
Wow.
But our factories are closed down now. So
yeah.
So we're not making any guitars right now. We're just keeping the pilot light going.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, it's such an amazing story. 12 years old, electric guitar, and that's just where it started. And now Taylor Guitars is where it is today, which I think is just it's incredible. And what really inspires me about your story, your journey, is that you were, in a respectful way, you were an everyday kid, right? You were an everyday kid with a passion, and you decided,
Everyday kid.
yeah, and you decided to go after that passion. And something you just said that I'd like to touch on. You said you couldn't afford one, so you made one.
Yep.
So so during a time like this, we have COVID-19. There's a lot of people who aren't able to do different things, right? You just said it yourself. Factories are shut down. People can't go to work. Um, if someone finds themselves today not being able to do what they want to do the way they wanted to do it, how would you encourage them to keep moving forward? Because I feel like that's the message there is you couldn't afford to buy one, so you made one. Nothing was going to stop you from having a guitar. And talk to me a little bit about that and how you would encourage someone today in maybe a similar situation.
Okay, well, I'll start with the thought.
Okay.
Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. Okay?
I love that.
So, just like chew on that for a second.
Yeah.
Anything worth doing is worth doing poorly. That's the opposite of what you've heard your whole entire life.
It is, yeah.
People come up to me and go, "Hey, man, I want to make a guitar. How do I get started? Get some wood and make a guitar." Well, what if it turns out bad? Okay, make a crappy guitar,
Yeah.
and then make another guitar. Well, what if I make a mistake on it? Okay, well, you made a mistake. Make another one. Well, look, dude, it takes practice. You
Yeah.
think Michael Jordan figured out where the hoop was by shooting one basket a day and aiming really hard?
Wow. Yeah.
No, he shot thousands a day, and pretty soon he figured out where the hoop was.
Yeah.
From every spot on the court, with every direction that he was facing, he knew where the hoop was because he'd been on that spot and he'd thrown that ball 10,000 times from every one of those places. So practice, practice, practice. So
Yeah.
a lot of times people, you think like a kid. When you're a kid, you bring home a junky piece of art and you put it on your refrigerator and you think it's good. And then later you grow up and you learn that, it's not so easily done. And you lose your do-it-yourselfness too. But
Yeah.
we are living in a DIY thing is on point for today. There's more DIY
Yeah.
channels on YouTube. I mean, I still look at them. Yeah, last night I was watching, those Facebook videos.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows people doing stuff with that funny music behind it.
Yep,
and it's just like people doing things that take 2 seconds. And I see this guy, he's holding a sponge and he's trying to clean out this aluminum track of a window like in a motorhome.
Yeah.
And then he marks where all the tracks, where the aluminum fins were, cuts a slot in it with a razor knife, and then all of a sudden the sponge fits down in it, he wipes it and everything's clean. It's like, man, I never figured that out before. So,
Yeah.
It's like I rewound that, I saved it in case I'm getting too old to remember stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, I just love to find out how things are done.
Yeah.
And just pay attention. So I make things. Just dive in. Do a bad job. Just do a bad job and then do a better job. If you do something and you do it once and that satisfies the urge, well, that's probably not the thing you really wanted to do. So sometimes you just got to try these things out.
Yeah.
Do I really want to do this? Invest a little. Just do it.
Yeah. I love that. And that really is anything worth doing is worth doing poorly, because if you're passionate about it, then it doesn't matter if it takes you, 10 times or 10,000 times, you're going to keep going and keep going. And it sounds like that's what you did. So man, that's just an awesome message. And I'm taking notes because I don't want to forget that one. That's great.
Yeah. Well, let me show you the, so that's the baby version. You start out, you start out drinking milk, right? And you end up eating meat, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're a vegan, apples, right?
Yeah.
But along the way, you also have to grow up in those things. So if 10 years later you're still doing it poorly, maybe you didn't get better on the way. So part of the responsibility of anything worth doing poorly is also to improve. And I'll say something else. There's no worse combination than somebody that does mediocre work and thinks that it's good.
Oh, wow.
Boy, I just can't help that person.
Yep.
It's like, you mean I have to go into the embarrassing moment to tell you that your work isn't nearly as good as you think it is?
Yeah.
So the other thing is, be your own worst critic. Like, if you make something and you bring it to me, it's really better to go, yeah, I did it and I'm super proud of it and it's the best I've done, but here's what I'll do next time because I know I can do better. I learned a lot on this one. And that person will always improve.
Yeah. Yeah, having kind of that mindset of just continual growth, that you're not arriving, you're just continuing to work on your craft.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really good. And so along those lines, okay, of continually improving, I'm just curious, and there's probably people listening to this who are curious. Is Bob, are you a better guitar maker or a better guitar player?
Oh, by far a maker. I'm as average a player as you could possibly be.
Yeah.
And every kid that starts playing guitar nowadays gets so good by the time they're 15 if they're into it. Way better than I could have done because everybody gets better at it. People run faster, jump higher.
Yeah.
Do most amazing things. And I would say this, if I had been a really good player, I might not have ever become a maker.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, and that's kind of what I was just thinking as you were saying that. And I think that's incredible because you have the gifting, the skill set, the passion truly is you're a guitar maker. That was the first thing you said when I said, who is Bob Taylor? And I think that's really a really cool, unique thing to just know and be grounded in and become the best you can. So man, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's so much better than saying, well, I'm a businessman. And well, I am a businessman.
Yeah.
I have to be in order to be a guitar maker. Because Levi, if you think about it, every single thing you do, if you want to do it more than once or twice, it's a business.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're an artist, you better turn it into a business if you want to keep doing it. There's only so many guitars I can make for myself and put in my closet, right?
Yeah,
and so I have to sell one to be able to make the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. So, and I totally agree with you. And so I want to ask a question because you said you had 1,100 employees now?
I do. We have a factory here in El Cajon, California, where I'm talking to you from,
Yep.
which is part of San Diego County. And we have like 500 people there or something, 475. And then across the border, we have another factory, which is actually, I will make a proclamation. I proclaim that it's the nicest guitar factory in the world. I've never seen anything that compares to our factory in Tecate.
I believe it.
We've been there 20 years, and we built this new one 3 years ago, and it eclipses the one we have on this side of the border, which is older and funkier. Now, on the other hand, we have more talent over here because we've been doing it longer, and we make the more expensive guitars here.
Yeah.
And there we make simpler stuff, but we make more guitars there in the most beautiful, orderly, unbelievable guitar factory that you can even imagine.
Wow.
And over here, we do our own magic over here. So there's that, and then we have a sawmill in Cameroon, which is in West Central Africa, right below Nigeria and right above Gabon.
Wow.
And there we have 60 people employed cutting ebony wood that we supply to ourselves and other people around the world. Wow. We have a partner in that business who's in Madrid, Spain. We have our distribution center and sales center that we wholly own in Amsterdam. So from there, that's our kickoff point for all of the EU. And so we sell our guitars there ourselves, distribute them there ourselves. And so those are employees, they're spread out. So in something like coronavirus, we've got to follow every rule of all these different countries. And,
I believe it.
So the human resources and the labor and all of that is just different. Cultures are different. Everything's different. So I've had to learn a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. You've had to shift and pivot quite a few times, I'm guessing, over the past few months.
Yeah, we had to learn a lot for guitar makers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's incredible, and I didn't know all of that just about just the different factories you had, and that's awesome. One thing I do believe is that it probably is the nicest guitar factory there is. So that's
it is, boy. I've seen them all, and this one is just it's mind blowing. That's awesome. Unbelievable.
That's awesome. So, to run a business as long as you have, and to have the passion you have, and then to lead, 1,100 people, I'd love to just know a little bit about, what drives you, because at first it was a guitar maker, and I know that's still a driving factor, but now you're leading people, you're helping build lives. And so what keeps you, doing what you do on a daily basis?
Well, first of all, I love it.
Yeah.
You know, I love being a factory. I love making things. I love being creative in that way. I love trying to be efficient. I love the people. When I first started making guitars, I realized, boy, you can't make money doing this. And so I thought along the way, I'm going to turn this into something where I can make a living. Where, in the first, 10 years that I did it,
Yeah.
I was just starving, living in the back of my van, or whoever would let me have a room at their house, kind of thing. And I would, in those days, people say, "What do you do?" I go, "I make guitars," and they're like, "Oh, so you do that in your garage?" And I was like, "No, I've got a shop. It's a legitimate business. I don't make any money."
Yeah.
But so that sort of kind of proud to do what I'm doing, but embarrassed that I'm not making any money. Not actively embarrassed in front of people. I wasn't a nah shucks guy, but disappointed in my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started getting a few people working for me, I thought, well, I'm going to turn this into a business where people could have careers.
Yeah.
And so actually thinking about someone coming to work for me and it being a legitimate job that they could work their whole life and have a good life and retire from, became a real driving force. That's really my passion has grown and changed over the years. So a lot of times people go, "Well, who was your mentor?" or "What was the point?" or "When did you decide?" or what is your distill your passion? And I'm like, well, it changes every day. It grows and develops, and every decade of my life, I feel like a different person than the person before. I still have remnants and basic values of that younger person, but now I'm interested in planting trees for the next generation and taking care of families, making the best guitars. All of these types of things. You grow with responsibility along the way, and I don't know. I think about it all the time. I love it. I find joy in it.
That's amazing. That's amazing, and really inspiring that the first decade or so was I guess you'd say a trying time. And you said you dealt with some maybe not being proud of yourself and those thoughts. And how did you remain passionate and patient through that time?
Well, I would always imagine a scene. And this is the answer. It's not one I just thought of this second.
Yeah.
It's the answer.
Yeah.
I would imagine a scene going through a grocery store, run into somebody I haven't seen for a year and a half. "Hey, Bob, how you doing?" "Hey, Mary, it's doing great. Well, I haven't seen you for a year and a half. You still doing that guitar thing?" "No, that didn't work out. I had to give that up." Every time I thought of that, I thought, I am never going to have that conversation.
Wow.
I'll just get back to work.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's really inspiring. And we had someone on my podcast a few days ago who talked about the importance of having a vivid vision for your life and being willing to do whatever it takes to go after it. And it sounds like that's really what you had, was a vision. And that's just really inspiring, Bob. Thank you for sharing that.
I guess I had a bookend vision. I had a vision of making good guitars and having one day where I felt successful. I had that vision, and I plowed for that. But I ran away like I was running out of a fire, a burning house, from the idea of having to have that conversation with somebody 2 years after I quit.
Yeah.
That one was a fearful vision that it's like, there is no way in the world I want to have that conversation. I'm not going to do it.
Absolutely.
Therefore, that one would be the get back to your post, soldier kind of work, which is not passionate. That's not passion. Life isn't all about passion. People want to be passionate. People want to be, here's another thought. an experience doesn't have to be positive.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. And so we're always looking for positive things, positive reinforcement, positive vision. Sometimes it's just get back to your post, soldier.
Yeah. Yeah, Bob, and I love what you just said there, where not every experience has to be positive. And we had another person on the podcast last week who is he's actually a clothing designer in Los Angeles, and he talked on this topic of neutral thinking, where not everything has to be positive or negative, but just really being able to think neutral. And I think that's good, as you said. It could be positive reinforcement, or it can just be like, hey, get back to work, and I think that's
true. Like
yeah.
maybe you could have, I got to go talk to this employee and let them go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like anyone who out there who has a small business, that's like your worst nightmare.
Totally.
And so I always think of, I've got a quiver with a bunch of arrows in it. And
Yep.
those arrows all have like a label: anger, frustration.
Yeah.
One could just be frankness,
Yeah.
or neutrality, like you're saying. And it's
Yeah.
like, a lot of times we pull out the wrong arrow. There's something that we have to confront.
Yep.
And it's like, are you going to get all worked up and scared about it? Or are you just going to go, no, need to do this. I'm going to do it calmly.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I want to touch on this piece. This mini podcast that I'm doing is morning mindset, and I want to talk a little bit about mindset because I hear it throughout your story and I see it, and it's phenomenal. But I'd love to know from you, how do you describe mindset to others?
Yeah. Well, we were talking earlier, and that's I'm going to ask you first because I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
I wrote my kids yesterday and said, I think I finally figured out what a meme is, because you look up the word and the word, I've read the definition of it 1,000 times. I still didn't know what it was.
Absolutely.
But now I've seen enough memes that my brain has recognized the pattern.
Yeah.
And I know what a meme is.
Absolutely.
I can't describe it. I can't define
Yeah.
it, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
And my grandson is starting to learn words right now. And I go, it's just like Holden. We can't give him a dictionary to tell him what, milk means. He's
Totally.
just got to associate it.
Yeah.
And so you've got a word name called mindset, or something that you're using. Morning mindset's really great.
Yeah.
So you tell me what you think about it, and then I'll respond.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you say that. Yeah, so for me, I think mindset is your mental attitude in a sense. I describe it to people as it really is that it's our mental attitude. It's the way we think. And then something that I like to say that I truly believe is that mindset is a consistent set of thoughts that represent a specific set of beliefs. And these beliefs affect the way we live, the way we feel, the way we think, the way we act. And so that's really how I would describe it. And that's that's ultimately why I wanted to ask you too, because I 100% agree with you. That whole meme example is so good, right? It's like, well, the definition is what it is, but now I finally get it, And so I think it's just really, there's an insightful piece to just hearing, what does it mean to you, or how would you encourage someone who's trying to figure out what is mindset, or how to have a good mindset? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I were to unpack it, I would say to set my mind towards something. In other words, kind of purposefully, actively put something out there, and that might be. I get up and I'm like, I'm a guitar maker.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I may have to do some things that don't look like guitar making that day, but in the end, I'm a guitar maker.
Yeah.
And so to me, and then that is going to give me some type of mental picture of what guitar maker I am, what kind I am,
Yeah.
and what I want to do. So for me, it wouldn't be, I'm going to get up and be nice today.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to get up and be calm today. Maybe some of those are auto mindsets. I'm not always calm, by the way. Sometimes I say I'm emphatic. Somebody else might say I'm mad.
Yeah. Totally.
It just depends on who's listening and who's saying it. But for me, I think it's a great concept that you have. And I like the idea of the morning. You get up and you set your mind towards the goals that you have for today. Now, believe me, I make time to be lazy too, so I'm not super driven.
Yeah.
I know people that run on racing fuel
Yep.
all the time. Even their relaxation is high power.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that my mindset usually is, what can I tweak a little bit today? What can I make a little bit better? What continuous improvement can I do?
Yeah.
Is there some nickels off the floor I can pick up?
Yeah.
Can I, if yesterday was a tough day for people, can I go in and say something that's out of the ordinary that just breaks the ice and makes them realize that we're still friends?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
What can I repair that was tough from yesterday?
Yeah.
And I do think about that stuff when I get up and I start the day.
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to say that I've been lucky, really, really, really lucky, because I had a clear vision of what I wanted to do when I was young.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that in and of itself isn't even of my own doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that when people fail, they give you all the reasons why they fail, and it's always some outside influence. Well, I started this thing, but the market was wrong, or I lost my lease, or they give you all those reasons.
Yeah.
But when they succeed, they never say, well, I was lucky, I started at the right time. They say, well, I made some really good decisions, and then I reached these crossroads, and I'm so smart. So they're really smart when they succeed, and they're really unfortunate, and it was someone else's fault when they fail. And I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to mention outside influences for my failures, I want to mention outside influences for my successes. And I've been very, very lucky. And one of those things was I just naturally knew what I wanted to do, and my mindset is kind of easy to come by. So I can't offer great advice there, because it just sort of happens for me, and I haven't had to struggle with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's awesome that you share that, because there's everyone has a different story, and some people have had to struggle with that, and others just haven't. And so I appreciate you sharing that, and especially with such an inspiring story that you have. It's really cool to just to hear from you in that aspect of it. And I love that. Set your mind towards something. It's like so simple, and yet I see throughout your story that's what you did. You had a vision. You knew what you wanted to do from a young age, and now you've built it into something amazing that is helping millions of people around the world, which I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important to enjoy the work. If you don't like the work, the reward's not worth it.
Yeah.
You shouldn't work for the reward. You should work for the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people say, well, what would you be if you weren't a guitar maker? And I go, oh, that's easy. I'd be a guitar maker.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'd just start over.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. So
yeah.
And I just know that about myself. I just know it about myself. So yeah. I'm not a huge believer in positive thinking or positive rewards. I don't mind them.
Yeah.
I lap them up. I don't mind them. But I don't think that it's the key to a productive life that helps people and helps yourself and helps accomplish something. I think uses a lot of life. What do they say? It's 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. To coin one of those little corny phrases.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of chop wood, carry water in it. And no matter who you are or how high you get up in your organization or advance in your dream, it's a lot of work. And even today, under these circumstances, I'm working more than I normally work because I'm the last man standing.
Yep,
right?
I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
a joy.
Yeah. Well, and that's awesome. And to me, I hear a mindset there that you say, this is it. And I love what I do. And even though you're working harder than you have, and there's a lot that you could be, there's a lot of negativity that could be going on, but you're still finding joy in what you do, and you're passionate about it. And that's inspiring. So, your story is definitely one of, I think of, the harder you work, the luckier you are in a sense. It's one of just work really hard and have a clear vision, and that's one that's needed today. That's a message that everyone needs to hear.
Super.
So, last question, Bob, and then I'll let you go get those messy burgers.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you were to sit down with your 18, 20-year-old self and give yourself some advice, knowing what you know now and knowing where you are now, what would that be?
I got to think about that. I mean, I really do, because at 18 and 20, I was moving along pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would probably talk to myself about dogma,
Okay.
about being flexible. I've learned to be pretty flexible, I think, outside the box. But I think that I would try and tell myself to listen to others a little bit more early on in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could have been a really great thing back then. Although, if we were talking about craftsmanship and I saw someone that knew something more about it, man, I was all ears.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that there's a nice balance between listening to yourself and listening to others.
Yeah.
And in reality, making guitars for me was a rebellious act.
Wow.
There was nobody that did what I did.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was going to work. I didn't know one other guitar maker in the whole wide world.
Wow.
It wasn't even an occupation in those days.
Wow.
Right? And so I've always felt like I marched to my own tune, and I did it in a kind way. I blended into regular society and that type of thing. But the other thing I'd probably tell myself at 20 years old is, it's going to work out, buddy. It's going to work out. Just keep doing it.
I love that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, Bob, I said I had one more, but I have one more, and you may or may not want to answer it, but I'm going to ask it. Out of all the artists that play your guitars, that play a Taylor guitar, who's your favorite?
Zach Brown, because he's my one and only real true friend.
Zach Brown. Wow, that's awesome.
Talked with him just yesterday. We're discussing how this is all affecting us.
Wow.
He's my brother from another mother.
That's awesome.
He's a real guy. His music has flavor. He gives and gives and gives and gives. He has a tattoo on his arm that says, "You get what you give." And I know a lot of artists. I mean, they're great artists. I'm talking about people now, not even guitar playing ability.
Absolutely. Yep.
But Zach, he's a real guy, man.
Wow.
He's a real guy, and he's a good friend.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, thank you for answering that question. That's great insight. And Bob, I just really appreciate you again. Your time's very valuable, and I'm honored that you would spend some time chatting with me on the phone. And I really believe that everyone who listens to this podcast is really going to glean a lot of insight just from what you shared today and from your story. And so, again, thank you so much for joining me today.
Levi Gurno,
yes.
You rock, and your voice is great. And your cadence is good, and your questions are great. And congratulations. I wish you all the luck. I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. That means a lot coming from you. So I'm going to keep going, and you've given me some inspiration. So, again, thank you so much. And go enjoy some good quality time with your family and eat a messy burger and have one for me, too.
I'll do it, man.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob. We'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Hey everybody, welcome to start over. I'm really excited for today's interview. Start over. Guitar making business into, I don't know where I was going with that.